Welcome to the first week of this massive open online course on PLSQL fundamentals. You are viewing the last video of this week, Nesting Blocks in PLSQL Programs. What are nested blocks? As the name suggests, nested block is a PLSQL block written inside another PLSQL block. How do they help the programmers? These are very helpful to modularize the code in lengthy PLSQL programs and group them logically within a single program. You may need to write such large code for logically related functionalities that support multiple business requirements. Where can you nest the blocks? You can nest blocks wherever an executable statement is allowed in a PLSQL block, that is, within the executable section or an exception section. Shall we look at a PLSQL program having nested blocks for a better understanding? The code shown on the screen has an outer or parent block and a nested or child block. The v_outer variable is declared in the outer block and the v_inner variable is declared in the inner block. The v_outer variable is local to the outer block but global to the inner block. So when you access this variable in the inner block, PLSQL first looks for a local variable in the inner block with that name. There is no variable with the same name in the inner block, so PLSQL looks for the variable in the outer block. Therefore, the v_outer variable is considered to be the global variable for all the enclosing blocks. You can access this variable in the inner block as shown in the slide. Variables declared in a PLSQL block are considered local to that block and global to all its subblocks. The v_inner variable is local to the inner block and is not global because the inner block does not have any nested blocks. This variable can be accessed only within the inner block. If PLSQL does not find the variable declared locally, it looks upward in the declarative section of the parent blocks. PLSQL does not look downward in the child blocks. Let us look at another example now. Can you guess what will be its output? It must print the name and the date of birth of the father followed by the name and the date of birth of the child, right? But if you observe the output, the date of birth of the father and the child are swapped. To understand this, you must know what is scope and visibility of a variable. Let us analyze this example to understand the scope and visibility of variables now. The scope of a variable is the portion of the program in which the variable is declared and is accessible. For example, the v_father name variable and the first occurrence of the v_date of birth variable are declared in the outer block. These variables have the scope of the block in which they are declared. Therefore, they have scope within the outer block, which includes the inner block as well. Whereas the v_child name variable is declared in the inner block or the nested block. So this variable is accessible only within the nested block and is not accessible in the outer block. So its scope is limited to the inner block. Observe that the v_date of birth variable, which is already declared in the outer block, is declared in the inner block again. Even though the global variable and the local variable have the same name, the two items represented by them are distinct. Changes in one do not affect the other. Therefore, the scope of the local variable v_date of birth is within the inner block alone. When a variable is out of scope, PLSQL frees the memory used to store the variable. Therefore, these variables cannot be referenced. Now let's discuss what is variable visibility. The visibility of a variable is the portion of the program where the variable can be accessed without qualifying it with its block name. In this example, the v_date of birth variable, which is declared in the outer block, has its scope in the inner block also, but its value is not visible in the inner block because a local variable is declared in the inner block with the same name. The variable v_father name is visible in both the blocks because it's declared in the outer block. Whereas the variable v_child name is visible only in the inner block since it's declared in the inner block alone. Let's analyze the output. The statement issued in the inner block to print the v_date of birth value prints the value of the local variable because only the local variable is visible within the inner block. Therefore, it prints the child's date of birth. Similarly, the statement issued in the outer block to print v underscore date of birth prints the value of the global variable because the global variable is only visible in the outer block. Therefore, it prints the father's date of birth. This example shows variables with same name in outer and inner blocks only for the sake of explanation. But in reality, naming your variables the same in nested blocks is not a best practice because it can bring in confusion to the programmer. How can we fix the output in this example? You can fix this issue with the help of qualifiers. You can use a qualifier to access the variables that have scope but are not visible inside a block. A qualifier is simply a name given to each PL/SQL block. Let's give a name to the outer block as shown on the screen. We can qualify the v underscore date of birth variable with its qualifier, that is outer dot v underscore date of birth, and print its value. Note that labeling is not limited to the outer block. You can label any block. Let's run the script now and see the output. Yes, the father's date of birth is printed correctly now. Observe that the child's date of birth is still not printed correctly. To fix this, let's move the statement to display the child's date of birth inside the inner block. This is required because the child's date of birth variable is local to the inner block and hence has a visibility only within the inner block. Let's run the script now and see the output. Yes, the output prints correctly now. Let us recap what you learned in this video. In this video, you learned what nested blocks are, how the scope and visibility of variables are determined in nested blocks, and how to qualify the variables in nested blocks. To practice what you learned, solve the assignment posted on OLL course page. Post your questions if any in the course forum whose link is shown here. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day ahead.